These priorities, and Bernie has led the fight on this for years. You know, I work on a local level to increase access to affordable primary and mental health care through our county hospital district and our local mental health authority. And Bernie leads the charge to provide insurance for all Americans. When people can't get health care because they don't have insurance, they end up in our emergency rooms, and us. But Bernie would stop that. We would see no more babies in jails like the one that they put up at the county-built Tornado Port of Entry. We would see no more pictures of asylum seekers caged like animals in the heat of summer as they were at the bridge just a few blocks from here. And we would hear no more stories of hundreds of human beings being crammed into spaces meant for only a few dozen. Our sister city, Ciudad Juarez, would no longer bear the burden we have placed on them by instituting the Remain in Mexico policy. We would no longer be forcing them to deal with the crisis that we created, and you know, they're doing it with less resources. Refugees and asylees would be welcome to the United States. They would be sheltered here in the United States, and most importantly, they would be treated in a humane way. Y finalmente, ya han pasado un poco más de 6 meses desde aquel trágico día cuando nosotros perdimos a 22 de nuestros hermanos y hermanas, and we were scarred for life by a senseless and racist attack that occurred in the precinct that I represent. We're still trying to pick up the pieces. You know, Bernie, he visited the memorial on his way over here. He went to Walmart because he knows that we've been wounded. Pero está aquí hoy para ayudarnos a sanar esas heridas. In contrast to Trump and his colleagues on Capitol Hill, who spew the hatred and intolerance that incited that attack, Bernie has long been a strong voice of acceptance, inclusion, and love. He would fit right into this community because, especially after the shooting, El Pasoans embodied and modeled that love, inclusion, and acceptance to the whole world. Bernie is committed to ban assault and semi-automatic weapons, as well as large capacity magazines. And he plans to institute red flag laws in order to keep guns out of the hands of potentially dangerous people. He is willing to work with us to ensure that no other community has to endure the deep and long-lasting pain that we feel. Ni uno más. Ni uno más. Entonces, por eso y por muchas razones más, yo estoy dedicando mi apoyo para el senador Bernie Sanders y estoy pidiéndoles a ustedes que hagan lo mismo. Vayan a las urnas hoy y voten por él para que le podamos demostrar que estamos unidos. ¿Con quién? Con Bernie. Muchas gracias, El Paso. Los quiero mucho. Gracias.
Please give a warm welcome to El Paso grassroots community organizer, Semeli de Aslan.
Mi gente! Here we are, together and ready for change. And I want you to know that I see you. I see your struggles. I see your pain. I see your beauty. And I see your strength. But most of all, I see your power. I see that power and I see it radiate and I see it energize and I see it illuminate that another world is possible. Otro mundo es posible. But it is our duty to create it. Though I've never had faith in the political process, I do believe in people power. I do believe in you. I do believe that the only way out of this mess is to organize. I do believe that you should stand up when they cage our children, militarize our borders, poison our waters, pollute our air, close our schools, imprison the poor, destroy our neighborhoods, erase our histories, and exploit our people. I do believe that you will stand up and demand justice. Lift up the mujeres, lift up the grandmothers, lift up the children, lift up the future, lift up each other together. I want to give credit where credit is due and say that we stand here today because of those who fought the fight before us. I want to give credit to the women of the maquilas, the farm workers on the fields, the migrants coming out of the shadows, the laborers working under the hot sun. And I want to recognize this land, the land of our ancestors, the land of our foremothers, the land of our children, and the land of our future. This land provides for us, La Madre Tierra, our Mother Earth, who freely provides more than enough for all of us if we let her. This land is our land because it holds the blood, sweat, and tears of our pain and our struggles and our ancestors. Their spirits dance beneath our feet, and they will carry us when times are hard. This land is not our land because someone stuck a stake in her, or because someone fought a war on her, or because someone built a wall through her. This land is the land of the ancients, the land of the migrants, the land of our ancestors. We are the backbone of this community. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for those who came before me during the Chicano movement as they organized and held their heads up high despite the heaviness. They held their heads up high despite the heaviness of discrimination, sexism, segregation, poverty, and police brutality. They stood against time, raising families on the front lines of injustice. They are the ones who taught me to not only demand change, but to create it. To recognize oppression and dismantle it, to remember our ancestors and dance with them. They taught us that the earth is our mother. As an indigenous person of this continent, I know that we didn't cross the border, but the border crossed us. casting my vote for you, for the people, and for the future. This is our revolution. Viva la revolución!
Please welcome next to the stage El Paso City Council member and Bernie 2020 endorser, Aleksandra Anello.
Hello, my friends. Hello, El Paso. My name is Aleksandra Anello, and I am your District 2 city representative. Y'all, I was elected in 2017, and I am so grateful to be able to represent this amazing border community. But I can tell you, when I was elected, I never thought that I would have to fight for this city the way that I have. I have stood in prisons disguised as tents that held children that were separated from their families when they came to this country looking for the love that you and El Paso has for them. I have cooked dinner for hundreds of migrants who were left on the street from our federal government. And I have held the hands of my friends who have constantly been in fear that today their DACA status would be taken away from them and they would no longer have a home. But today I am here with you. Today I am here with you because after witnessing all of these human rights abuses, I am ready for a major change. You and I want an administration that values the impact that immigrants have on our economy and our community. We want a White House that works to help the vulnerable. A White House that wants to safeguard our health care, to better our education, and invest in its people, not profit off of them. I am so happy to be here with y'all today to support Bernie Sanders, the next president of the United States of America. Bernie is committed to working with us to ensure that the future is bright. He will work to make sure that everyone in this country has a seat at the table, despite the color of their skin or their gender preference. He inspires me, and I know he inspires y'all. Inspires us to care about our community and to make a change. And today, right now, right here, we are making that change. Thank you, El Paso.
All right, El Paso. Please welcome to the stage former Democratic member of the Texas House of Reps and Bernie 2020 endorser, Marisa Marquez.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marisa Marquez, and I'm here for the same reason that many of you are. I love my country, and I believe that my country has been disrespected, and we are hurting. Our country has been through so much these past 6 months, but we know that there's hope. This year we have an opportunity, but beyond this opportunity, you all have a responsibility, a tremendous responsibility to our future, to go to the voting polls and to vote for healing, to vote for hope, to vote for equality, to vote for Bernie. In 2016, I joined the movement for Bernie. I traveled to Dallas as the only sitting Texas legislator to formally endorse Bernie Sanders. I was pregnant with my son, Cal, who's right there, who is now 3 years old. I didn't mind standing alone back then because I believed in hope. But today, I'm not alone. I joined the many who believed in better paying jobs for the working class, more investments in our public schools, especially for our teachers. I see you. Our early childhood development teachers who are the first to start molding our future, you are a gift. And I believed in better health care. I know many in our region, we wake up every day wondering how we're going to keep up with the rising costs of medications and how we will pay for treatment if and when we get sick. With our current president making decisions based on impulse and ego, I worry about our future. I worry about my son's future. I worry about your children's future. I worry about our parents' future. No other candidate can restore the brokenness of the last 4 years except Bernie Sanders. He cannot do it alone. We need you to do your part. Get your ID, take your family and friends to the polls, and vote for the change our country needs. Our future is depending on you today, right now, in this moment. And on January 20th, 2021, we can all celebrate a new day with President Sanders as the 46th President of the United States. God bless you, God bless Texas, and God bless our great country. Thank you.
Next to the stage, please put your hands together for former Texas Commissioner of Agriculture and longtime Bernie friend and advocate. He's our Texas State Co-Chair, Mr. Jim Hightower.
Hello. Buenas tardes, El Paso. Hello, revolutionaries. Hello, Bernie Vistas. What a great day it is. What a great joy it is to be part of this Bernie storming trip across Texas, starting here in El Paso, and then we're off to San Antonio, then over to Houston, and then back to Austin, and then we're going on to victory on March the 3rd in the state of Texas. And then we're going to the White House with Bernie Sanders. So it just makes me happier than a chigger at a nudist colony to be standing up here looking out at all of you corporate greed whackers, you right-wing butt kickers, as we rally behind this grassroots campaign to do two big things. One, to take power away from the plutocrats, autocrats, and kleptocrats who are running roughshod over us. And two, to do what Franklin Roosevelt said in 1936, and that is to restore our country to its own people. That's what we're about. So I come to you not just from Austin, Texas, but from South Austin. We're a little more irreverent, a little more rebellious over on the south side there. In fact, our unofficial slogan is we're all here because we're not all there. And I think that's what brings us together, is we know that the powers that be are not at all there in understanding the crucial nature of America. They're as confused as goats on AstroTurf when it comes to understanding that we're all supposed to be in this together. But they don't want us to share the wealth and to share the power. The powers that be, by which I mean the 6 Bs. The bosses, the bankers, the billionaires, the big shots, bastards, and bullshitters. That's who we're taking on. That's why we need a revolution. That's why we need Bernie Sanders. Everybody say Bernie. America needs big remedies because we have big maladies. Dicho, amales grandes, remedios grandes. And we need remedies as big as Bernie. Yet the corporatists and the do-nothingness in the media and even some in our own party say Bernie's too bold, he's too strong, he's too hot, he's progressive, he's too democratic. They say Democrats should go slow, adopt a meek, incrementalist corporate agenda and candidate. They're weaker than Canadian hot sauce when it comes to standing up. I mean, hello, America can't wait on go slow. Americans are drowning in corporate incrementalism. We have to have someone who has the big vision and big courage to stop taking money from the corporate elite and start taking them on. That's what Bernie Sanders is going to do. Someone who will rally us, the people, to come inside the White House with him and fundamentally transform today's rigged economic and political systems. Rig them against us, but we're going to turn them back to where they serve us rather than up against us. I first met Bernie Sanders when he was mayor running for Congress up in Burlington, Vermont. I went up and we did a little campaigning together, and after a big speech on the state capitol grounds there, a guy came up wearing a great old big political button. It's the best one I've ever seen. It said, "Wearing a button is not enough." We can't be a nation of button wearers, can we? So my message to you is this. It's up to us. It is not up to Bernie. It is not up to his staff. It is not up to voters in San Francisco and New York City. It's up to you and me in El Paso County to stand up and put Bernie in the Oval Office and restore America to its own people. So, can we do this? Yeah, we can. Do you want Bernie? Everybody say Bernie. Well, here he is, Bernie Sanders, the next president of the United States. With his wife, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you, El Paso. And let me introduce you to the next First Lady of the United States, Jane Sanders. Whoa, there are a lot of people here. And there are a lot of people outside who couldn't get inside. So thank you all very much for coming. Let me thank Sparta for their music. Let me thank David Stout for his remarks. Let me thank Samia Diatzlan for her remarks. Aleksandra Anello, Marissa Marquez. And let me thank Jim Hightower, a friend of 30 years. Jim, thank you for all that you do. When I look out at an audience like this, and I see the diversity and the beauty in this audience, and let me tell you, you do look beautiful from here. And when I look out at this audience, I have absolute confidence that we can create a government
that is based on compassion, is based on love, is based on truth, not what we have now of greed, corruption, and lies. All of you know that we have a president today who is a pathological liar, who is running a corrupt administration, who is a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, and a religious bigot. And he thinks that he is going to win election by dividing this country up based on the color of our skin or where we were born. But we have news for Trump. Love and compassion and bringing people together is a lot more powerful than divisiveness. The message of our campaign, as I think all of you know, is us, not me. And that is about two very important, two profound points. First of all, Trump and his friends believe that the function of human life is to lie and cheat and step on people in order to make as much money as you possibly can. We have a different vision of what human life is about. We know that we are better and stronger and more human when we reach out with compassion, when we understand that we are in this together, that every family here, every family in America has its problems, and that we are strong when we stand together, when my family cares about your family, when your family cares about my family. That is the kind of America we have got to create. And we're going to win this election because the American people understand that there is something profoundly wrong in the richest country in the history of the world when we have more income and wealth inequality today than at any time in the last 100 years. It is not acceptable to working people in this country that 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. It is not acceptable that tens of millions of people are working 2 or 3 jobs just to take care of their families. It's not acceptable that half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay. Brian, get off the stage. It is not acceptable that we are living in a society where so few have so much and so many have so little. Today, we got 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets of America. Today, we have 18 million families paying 50% of their limited incomes for housing. Today, we have hundreds of thousands of bright young people who cannot afford to get a higher education. Today, we have 45 million people paying a student debt that many of them cannot afford to pay. So what our campaign is about and what our administration will be about is rethinking America, understanding that all of our people, when I say all, I also mean the undocumented in this country. that all of our people are entitled to basic human rights. That if you work 40 hours a week in America, you should not earn starvation wages. I have talked to too many people in Texas and all over this country. Yeah, they got a job, but they got a job that is paying them a wage which is unlivable. And that is why we're going to raise the minimum wage in this country to at least $15 an hour. And that is why we believe that it is absurd that women in America make 80 cents on the dollar compared to men, and minority women, Latino, African American women, make even less. And that is why we are going to establish equal pay for equal work. That is why when millions of workers all across this country want to join a union, because they understand that when you're in a union, you can negotiate decent wages and decent benefits. Thank you, National Nurses Union. We're going to make it easier for workers to get into unions, get decent wages and decent benefits. All of you know that our infrastructure, that is our roads, our bridges, our water systems, our wastewater plants, are crumbling. You all know that we have a major crisis in affordable housing, in homelessness. We are going to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, build 10 million units of affordable low-income housing, put millions of workers to work at good-paying union jobs. And when we look at this country, we understand that education is enormously important. And we understand that if this country is going to do well for all, we need to have the best public education system in the world. And that means universal, high-quality child care. It means tripling funding for low-income Title I schools so that all of our kids, regardless of the color of their skin or the language they speak, regardless of the zip code they live in, gets the kind of education that they need. And we believe, if we believe in education, which we do, it means we believe in educators, teachers. I hope very much that many of the young people who are here will give consideration to becoming a teacher. We desperately need great teachers in America. We need more Latino teachers, more African American teachers. We need more teachers. And because we believe in the importance of the work that teachers are doing, we're going to fight to make sure that no teacher in America earns less than $60,000 a year. And because we believe in educational opportunity for all, we're going to make public colleges and universities and trade schools tuition free. "12 years ago, some of you may remember that the United States Congress, against my vote, voted to bail out the crooks on Wall Street who nearly destroyed the economy. 2 years ago, Trump and his friends gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and large profitable corporations. Well, I believe that if Trump can give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and large corporations, we can cancel all student debt in America. The United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, is the only major nation on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people. Together, we are going to end that embarrassment. And I want you all to understand, the media sometimes misses this. The idea of universal health care is not a radical idea. I live in Burlington, Vermont. Come on up and visit us sometime. 50 miles away from where I live in Canada, everybody goes to any doctor they want. You don't have to take out your wallet or your credit card. If you get sick and you end up in a hospital for a month, you come out of that hospital without owing one nickel. That's not just Canada. It's the UK, it's France, it's Germany, it's Sweden, it's Denmark, it's countries all over the world. They understand what you understand, what I understand. Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. And I want to thank the National Nurses United Union. These are the nurses who are on the front line of healthcare. They're taking care of all of us every single day. They know how dysfunctional, how cruel the current system is. Thank you, nurses, for all you're doing. Now, you're going to see a lot on television that Bernie's ideas are too radical, can't be done. So let me take a minute to explain what Medicare for All means, what the nurses have been fighting for, what the American Academy of Physicians is fighting for, what I'm fighting for, or what many of you are fighting for. This is what it means. It means no more premiums for workers or their employers. Premiums gone. It means no more co-payments when you walk into a doctor's office. Gone. It means we end the insane concept of deductibles. So millions of people have health insurance, but they still can't go to the doctor because they got a $5,000 deductible. Medicare for All means we end all out-of-pocket expenses. And because we are going to take on the greed and the corruption of the pharmaceutical industry, an industry that charges our people sometimes 10 times more for the same exact drug sold in Mexico or in Canada. Under our administration, that thievery is going to stop. And nobody in America will pay more than $200 a year for prescription drugs. Now, right now, I want everybody to hear this. We are spending twice as much per person on health care as the people of any other country. It's not that we're not spending enough money. We're spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child in this country. And yet, despite that huge expenditure, we have 87 million people uninsured or underinsured. We got at least, and I think the number is higher, at least 30,000 people who die every single year. Because by the time they walk into the doctor's office, because they're uninsured, their situation is terminal. We have 500,000 people in America who go bankrupt because of medically related bills. Think about it for a second. Think about somebody who is struggling with cancer or heart disease or Alzheimer's. What a struggle it is to get well. And yet, on top of all of that, they got to worry that their family is going bankrupt. In America, you should not suffer financial ruin because you got sick. So today it is inhumane. That's exactly what it is. It is cruel and inhumane. So today we say to the drug companies and the insurance companies who made $100 billion in profits last year, we say to them that the function of a humane healthcare system is to guarantee healthcare to all, not to make the drug companies and the insurance companies rich. Now, Donald Trump embarrasses us every single day. But in one area, he is embarrassing and hurting not only the American people, but people all over the world. Donald Trump thinks that climate change is a hoax. Stand up. Now, Trump thinks climate change is a hoax. But you know what? The scientific community believes that climate change is the greatest possible threat facing our country and the planet. And you know what? I kind of trust the scientists over Donald Trump. So I am proud to tell you that we have introduced the most comprehensive climate change proposal ever introduced by a candidate for federal office based on the principles of the Green New Deal. And what that proposal does is it moves this country as quickly and as aggressively as we can away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energies. And by the way, under the Green New Deal, we create up to 20 million good-paying union jobs. And what the Green New Deal is about is simply saying to the fossil fuel industry, makes billions and billions of dollars every year, that their profits are not more important than the future of this planet. This is not an issue, frankly, that we have an option. If we want to make sure that your kids and your grandchildren and future generations live in a planet that is healthy and habitable, we have got to transform our energy system. End of discussion. There is no option. And when we talk about issues of enormous importance to this country, it means major, major reforms for a broken and racist criminal justice system. This is the United States of America. We should not be having more people in jail than any other country on earth, including communist China, 4 times our size. And the people in jail, as everybody here knows, are disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native Americans. So what we are going to do is invest in jobs for our kids, in education for our kids, not more jails and incarceration. And because we believe in equal justice under the law, we are appalled that today, as we speak, 400,000 people in this country are in jail not having been convicted of anything. They are in jail because they cannot afford bail. They're poor. And that is why we're going to end cash bail in this country. And because we believe that corporations should not be making millions in profit by locking up fellow Americans, we're going to end private prisons and detention centers. And because we believe that the so-called war on drugs has destroyed too many lives, we're going to end the war on drugs, legalize marijuana in every state in this country. Let me ask you all a question. How many people here know someone who was arrested for possession of marijuana? That's what the war on drugs is about. We're going to move to expunge the records of those arrested for possession of marijuana. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. And this is not an idea that I came up with. It's an idea that friends of mine from the African American and Latino community told me. And what they said, Bernie, you know, why don't you think about helping those communities that have been hardest hit, who have suffered the most from the war on drugs? And what we're going to do then is not allow a few corporations to control legalized marijuana in America. We're going to invest in the African American community, the Latino community, the Native American community. We're going to help those communities make a profit, create jobs from the legalization of marijuana. And let me say a word about another system that is broken and racist, and that is the immigration system in this country today. I don't know if any of you know this. I am the son of an immigrant. All right? Like many of you, my father came to this country at the age of 17. He didn't have a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak a word of English. He had very limited education. I know a little bit about the immigrant experience. And let me tell you, on day one and henceforth, we are going to end the demonization of the undocumented in this country. You know, and I want to say this. Many of you may know this, some of you may not. You know, Donald Trump every day tells us we're supposed to hate the undocumented, right? Supposed to hate them. But when he was a private businessman in New York and is a private businessman who owns resorts all over the country, he loved the undocumented. He hired them. He exploited them. Donald Trump is not only a liar, he is a fraud. So on day one, through executive order, My promise to you is we will end all of the racist immigration executive orders promulgated by Trump. And on day one, this is, some things you could do by executive order, some things you gotta need legislation for. But by executive order, we will reestablish and restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people and their parents eligible for DACA. We're gonna end our border policy so that no federal agent again will ever snatch a baby from the arms of her mother. We are not going to be locking children up in cages. We're not going to be separating families. And we're going to end the ICE raids that are terrorizing communities all across this country. And the truth is that despite Trump's racism and his demonization of the undocumented, the American people want and we will deliver comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship for all 11 million undocumented. Now, earlier today, just a few hours ago, when I landed in El Paso, we went to the memorial at the Walmart shopping area in honor of the 22 people who were mowed down. And I was thinking what a horror it is to see that not only was there a mass shooting, there was a mass shooting here just trying to kill Latino people. That a few years ago in Charleston, South Carolina, some sick person walked into a black church, shot down African Americans. Last year, another sick person walks into a synagogue in Pittsburgh, shoots down Jewish people. What we have got to do as a country is do everything possible to end the hatred. We are all human beings with common dreams. We share a common humanity. And we got to end that hatred. We got to come together, black and white and Latino, Asian American, Native American, gay and straight. We got to bring people together. And as president, I will do everything I can to do that. And let me tell you this, that our cabinet, our administration will in fact look like America. Now, there will be at least one old white guy up there. But you're going to look, when you see that cabinet, when you see that administration, you're going to say, wow, this is what America looks like. And let me say a word about the incredible amount of gun violence that you have experienced here, that other cities and communities all over America have experienced. Our gun policy will be written by the American people, not the NRA. We will have universal background checks. People with violent backgrounds should not be owning guns. We're going to end the gun show loophole. And we're going to do what the American people want, ban the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. And as a United States Senator, I hear a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate. And I hear some of my conservative Republican colleagues talk about small government and getting the government off the backs of the American people. And I say to those hypocrites, if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have a right to control their own bodies, not the government. And let me say this to the men who are out there. The women in this country today are under assault. They're under attack every day. Men, stand up for the women. So my promise to you as president, I will never nominate anybody to the Supreme Court or the federal bench who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. We will codify, put into law Roe v. Wade, and we will significantly expand funding for Planned Parenthood. Now, as a United States Senator, I know the power of the corporate elites and the 1%. They are enormously powerful. They have endless amounts of money, underline endless. They own the media. They have a huge impact over the political life of our country. They buy and sell politicians. They obviously have an enormous impact over our economy. But at the end of the day, the 1% is 1%. And the last I heard, I don't have a PhD in mathematics, but the last I heard is that 99% is a heck of a larger number than 1%. So if we stand together, if we do not allow Trump and his friends to divide us up, that's what they're trying to do every day. They're trying to divide us up, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight. They want to divide us up. And when we get divided up, we are weak and powerless. When we stand together, when we come together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. A few minutes ago, before I came on, I did a TV interview with a local TV station, and the fellow who was interviewing me said, Texas is a conservative state. I don't believe it. My impression, what I believe in this state, if working people, if young people, if the minority communities come out in large numbers, we can turn this state around. Your vote is your power. Not good enough to complain that you're earning starvation wages. Not good enough to complain you can't afford housing. Not good enough to complain about racism or sexism or xenophobia. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to get involved in the political process. This is the most consequential election in the modern history of this country. Texas will play an enormous on a week from Tuesday, Super Tuesday, Texas votes. There's early voting going on right now. Okay? Please vote early. Please bring your friends and your family and your neighbors out to vote. We can win the Texas primary. We can win the Democratic nomination. We can defeat Donald Trump. And we can transform this country. Let's do it. Thank you.